Today we are going to discuss about the recent advances in GDM. So what are the nutrition important for the management of the GDM we are going to discuss. So gestational diabetes mellitus are of two types, A1-GDM and A2-GDM. A1-GDM means we can control the GDM or a blood sugar level only by the diet, and A2-GDM means control with certain medications. The global prevalence of the GDM is 16.7% and the proportion of cases due to GDM is 80.3%. So what are the risk factors important for the GDM? Is the pre-gestational risk factor for glucose, metabolism disturbance, depends on the age, family history, ethnicity, history of polycystic ovarian syndrome, and history of hypothyroidism, overweight, obesity, and low vitamin D level in the blood. So maternal risk factor, because of these factors, causes the insulin resistance that may lead to glycosuria. So because of persistent hyperglycemia that transfers through the placenta and causes the fetal hyperinsulinemia, ultimately leads to the increased deposition of the fat in the fetus that leads to macrosomic fetus. And certain other metabolites, because of insulin resistance, is raised like a triglyceride and increased amino acid, and certain placental factors are also hyperglycemic hormones secreted, just like a human placental lactogen, growth hormones, cortisol and progesterone, that ultimately leads to the hyperglycemic condition. Now the various pathophysiology affect the various organs of our body because of raised blood sugar level. Like in the brain, it causes a raised adiponectin level, and because of decreased energy expenditure leads to the increased blood sugar and hyperglycemia. Affect in the adipose tissue, muscles, liver is also affected, and because of placental insulin resistance, increased placental leptin, placental transport, pro-inflammatory cytokines, and certain fetal growth factors. So guideline for the supervision of pregnancy with regard to the GDM: if the patient having the prior history of the GDM or a family history, high risk factors, and previous recurrent pregnancy loss, then in the first ENC visit we will go for the OGTT. How we will do OGTT? In the 75 gram of anhydrous sugar dissolved in 300 ml of water, and patient will intake within 5 to 10 minutes, and after 2 hours we will take the blood sample, and if the blood sugar level is more than 140 milligram per deciliter, then you will label as a GDM, and if it comes out more than 200, then this is the over diabetes. So if the first ENC visit it comes out as a negative, then again we will perform the OGTT at 24 to 28 weeks of gestation, and if it comes out negative, then we will continue the pregnancy as a normal, and if it comes out as a positive, means more than 140 milligram per deciliter, then we will prescribe the patient the MNT for 2 weeks, and again we will measure the fasting and the postprandial blood sugar. If the fasting blood sugar is less than 90 milligram per deciliter and the postprandial is less than 120 milligram per deciliter, that is okay, and if it comes out more than 90 or more than 120, then we have to add insulin or a metformin. But metformin, it is recommended we can add after 20 weeks of gestation, and if it is detected prior to 20 weeks, then you have to add the insulin. Various types of insulins are available in the market: long acting, short acting, soluble. Then we will add the insulin according to the patient and titrate. So short-acting insulin Lispro and Aspart is preferred over regular insulin due to more rapid onset. NPH insulin is still used, but insulin glargine is available for long-acting coverage. So the patient who require only insulin less than 20 units over 24 hours prior to labor may not need to adding insulin infusion during the labor. If the required dose is more than 20 units, then only you will add the insulin as a neutralizing dose during labor. So strict glycemic control, the goal is the HbA1 should be less than or equal to 6%. Fasting plasma sugar less than or equal to 90 milligram per deciliter. 1 hour postprandial less than or equal to 140 milligram per deciliter, and 2 hour postprandial blood plasma glucose is less than or equal to 120 milligram per deciliter. So women with the GDM need to monitor their glucose level at least 4 times a day, means the fasting and 1 or 2 hours after each meal. So how we will monitor during antenatal visit? Because certain maternal and fetal risk factors are involved with the hyperglycemia. So abnormal fetal growth may occur like a macrosomia or a growth restriction, polyhydramnios, hypertension in pregnancy, proteinuria, other related OBS complications. So we will monitor in each visit for the fetal growth, as well as we will observe for the certain maternal high risk factor associated with the GDM. Ultrasonography, minimum 3 antenatal ultrasonography is important at 18 to 20 weeks to rule out the certain congenital anomaly. Growth scan at 28 to 30 weeks of gestation, and second growth scan at 34 to 36 weeks of gestation. So USG, fetal biometry and amniotic fluid estimation. Additional 4 ANC visit is required other than the routine ANC visit until delivery, and during the 6-week postpartum checkup is also very important. So when the blood sugar is controlled throughout the pregnancy, then we will to deliver more than 39 weeks of gestation. But if the certain high risk factors like hypertension, preeclampsia, eclampsia, or a certain growth restriction, then you have to deliver prior to the 39 weeks of gestation, depending on the fetal growth and the Doppler finding. And if the fetal weight is more than 4.5 kg, then you will strictly go for the cesarean section. So what are the immediate newborn care is important for the GDM? So the chances of neonatal hypoglycemia is very high, and if it comes out at less than 45 milligram per deciliter within first hour of birth, then you will go for the 10% you will start the breastfeeding or weaning or feeding as soon as possible. And if the blood sugar comes out less than 20 milligram per deciliter, then you will add the 10% dextrose IV infusion and refer to the higher center. जैसे ही कम आता है, you will counsel the patient कि patient बच्चे को higher tertiary care की जरूरत है, then you will refer after giving the 10% dextrose IV infusion drip. So postpartum care is also very essential for the GDM patient. So first you will go for the medical nutrition therapy, and at 6 weeks of the gestation you will notice the fasting and the postprandial blood sugar, and if it is under the strict control, then you will annually go for the screening, and if it is comes out more than 90 or more than 120, then you will label as a patient of type 2 GDM. You will work up that and treat accordingly. So the weight gain is strictly under control if the patient is GDM diagnosed. And energy, what are the caloric intake? So the caloric restriction is very important. Only 30 to 33% of the carbohydrate you will give. Means the 1600 to 1800 kilocalorie per day is required. So the glycemic index diet, you will prefer the low glycemic index diet during the GDM. So factor affecting the glycemic index are various. We will keep in the mind like the effect of processing, type of starch, वो क्या खा रही है, कितना खा रही है, amount she will intake, और उसके प्लेट में कार्बोहाइड्रेट, फैट, प्रोटीन की मात्रा कितनी है. So generally we prefer, हम लोग पेशेंट को लो ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स और मीडियम ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स डाइट प्रेफर करते हैं irrespective of the higher glycemic index, क्योंकि हायर ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स तुरंत ही पेशेंट का ब्लड शुगर लेवल को हाई कर देगी. लाइक वी विल एडवाइज पेशेंट कि पेशेंट कैसे खाएगी, कैसे हम उसके ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स को कम कर सकते हैं. शी विल मिक्स द दाल विद द राइस. वो चावल और दाल में दाल की मात्रा बढ़ा सकती है, राजमा चावल ले सकती है, तो उससे उसका ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स जो है वो कम हो जाएगा. उसको किस टाइप का कार्बोहाइड्रेट खाना है ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. कॉम्प्लेक्स कार्बोहाइड्रेट जनरली वी प्रेफर. हम उसे एडवाइस करेंगे शी विल स्प्लिट द मील एट ब्रेकफास्ट ओनली, कि सुबह वो खा रही है तो एक मुट्ठी भर नट्स ले, एक दाल का चीला ले, और 2 घंटे के बाद शी विल अगेन रिपीट द ब्रेकफास्ट, एक दाल का चीला और खाएगी। उससे क्या होगा, उसका ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स मेंटेन रहेगा। सो द सेकेंड मील इफेक्ट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, डिक्रीज द पोस्टप्रांडियल ग्लाइसीमिया एट लंच एंड डिनर ऑन द सेम डे। सो सेकेंड मील इफेक्ट हैज इंपॉर्टेंट इम्प्लीकेशन फॉर डे लॉन्ग कंट्रोल ऑफ ब्लड ग्लूकोज। इसलिए उसे बताना है कि छोटे छोटे वो मील्स 3-4 बार खा सकती है, इरिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ कि एक ही बार वो पूरा प्लेट खाए। अपने खाने में शी विल इंक्लूड द डाइटरी फाइबर्स, शी विल इंक्लूड द हाई प्रोटीन्स एंड प्रोटीन रिच सोर्सेस। चपाती अगर वो रोटी खा रही है तो वी विल एडवाइज कि जो चपाती है विल नॉट ओनली द मेक बाय द wheat. We can include the wheat along with the various grains and the besan chapati that will reduce the glycemic index and increase the fiber intake. So the food order of the meal is also important. उसको बताएंगे कि पहले वो सलाद खाए जिससे हाई फाइबरस है, कर्ड ले सकती है दैट इज अ प्रोटीन रिच सोर्स, और उसके बाद खाना ले। सो उससे क्या होगा कि पहले कंजप्शन ऑफ फाइबर और प्रोटीन होगा, उससे कार्बोहाइड्रेट का एब्जॉर्प्शन जो है वो थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा एंड दैट विल हेल्पफुल फॉर द डायबिटिक मैनेजमेंट। फैट के लिए हम लोग ओमेगा 3 फैटी एसिड और PFA पॉलीअनसैचुरेटेड फैटी एसिड प्रेफर करते हैं। सैचुरेटेड फैट्स को अवॉइड करने के लिए कहेंगे अवॉइड द जंक फूड, बेकरी प्रोडक्ट्स, बटर, and certain vitamins and minerals are also very important like a B complex vitamin, calcium, vitamin D, iron, iodine intake, क्योंकि उसकी मात्रा अगर सफिशिएंट नहीं है तो दैट विल ऑल्सो डिले द फीटल न्यूरल डेवलपमेंटल ग्रोथ, फीटल ग्रोथ एंड फीटल कॉग्निटिव इम्पेयरमेंट। सो कैल्शियम, आयरन एंड विटामिन डी शुड ऑल्सो बी एडिक्वेट अकॉर्डिंग टू द RDA. Probiotic also play a very important role in the control of GDM. आशा है, और एक्सरसाइज भी हम अपने मरीज को बताएंगे कि मॉडरेट इंटेंसिटी का एक्सरसाइज करें, एटलीस्ट 30 मिनट्स पर डे और 150 मिनट्स पर वीक इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एक्सरसाइज से क्या होगा, इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंस कम होगा एंड दैट विल हेल्पफुल इन द मैनेजिंग द ब्लड शुगर लेवल। थैंक यू।